Snow swept across the Montana Valley in shimmering waves, turning the wide fields of the Hollow Creek Ranch into a white ocean. Liam Carter stood at the old fence line, his gloved hands gripping the frosted rails as he watched the storm roll in from the distant pines. The ranch used to feel alive during winter fires crackling, horses huffing plumes into the cold air, the barns glowing like little homes of their own. But ever since his father passed, and the bills began to rise like snowdrifts, the winter felt colder, heavier. That morning had brought him a letter stamped by the bank, the kind that tightened a man's chest. He knew what it meant before he opened it. Another warning, another deadline, another reminder that the ranch was slipping through his fingers no matter how hard he worked, or how deeply he loved it. He didn't expect a knock at the door when he trudged back toward the house, boots weighed down with ice, and he certainly didn't expect to open it and find a young woman standing there, with icicles clinging to her lashes, a battered suitcase at her feet, and a quiet, hopeful desperation in her eyes. She was small, wrapped in an oversized coat someone else must have once worn, her cheeks red from the cold and her breath catching in front of her like broken smoke. "Are you Liam Carter?" she asked, her voice trembling but steady enough to hold its shape. Liam blinked, unsure how to respond. She looked like a snow angel someone forgot to finish drawing. "I am," he finally said. "Can I help you?" My name is Evelyn," she said softly, pushing a strand of dark hair behind her frost-dusted ear. "Evelyn Hayes, I think I'm supposed to be your bride." The silence between them froze. Liam stared, certain he'd misheard her, but she reached into her coat and pulled out a folded letter, handing it to him with gentle, shaking fingers. He recognized his father's handwriting immediately, strong, slanted, familiar enough to punch grief through his ribs. The letter explained everything. Before he died, Liam's father had participated in a community program pairing lonely ranchers with women who wanted a fresh start. He never mentioned entering Liam's name too, but the letter said this match had been arranged months before his passing, and Evelyn Hayes, according to his father, was meant to arrive before Christmas so she'd have a place to belong. Liam looked up from the letter, snow catching in his beard. "This has to be a mistake," he said. "I don't know anything about this. My father, well, he didn't tell me." Evelyn nodded as if she expected confusion. "I'm sorry. I know this is strange. I didn't come here to force anything, but I had nowhere else left to go. Your father, he wrote to me for weeks. He said the ranch could use an extra pair of hands, and he said you were kind. He thought we'd be a good match." She paused, bundling her coat tighter. "But if you want me to leave, I understand." Her voice cracked on the last word. Something in Liam softened, not out of obligation, but out of instinct, an instinct his father had drilled into him. Never turn someone away who has nowhere to go, especially not in a storm like this. He stepped aside. "Come inside before you freeze." Her relief was silent, but unmistakable. She stepped in, her boots leaving tiny puddles on the wooden floor. Inside the house. Evelyn tried to warm her hands by the stove, but Liam couldn't help noticing her fingertips stayed red for too long, as though she'd been out in the cold far more than she'd admitted. "You came all the way here alone?" he asked. She nodded. "My bus broke down miles back, so I walked. I didn't have enough money to stay anywhere, and I was afraid if I waited, you'd think I wasn't coming." There was something in her tone, bravery wrapped around exhaustion. Liam made her tea and sat across the table, the old Christmas lights flickering above them, though he hadn't bothered taking them down. "From last year, so. You came here as my bride," he said, running a hand through his hair. "You don't know me. You don't know the ranch. You don't know the trouble it's in." She looked at him then, really looked. "Your father told me enough to care, and I didn't come here expecting marriage, not right away. I came because he said you needed help, and because," she lowered her gaze, "I needed a home." Liam didn't press further. Something about her expression said she carried burdens she wasn't ready to drop yet. He offered her a guest room. She thanked him as though he'd given her more than shelter, something closer to faith. Later that night, when the house was quiet, Liam stood at the window watching the storm swallow the hills. He thought of the ranch, of the failing crops, the thinning cattle, the mounting debts. He thought of his father's confidence in this woman, the stranger, and wondered why the old man believed she could make a difference. Evelyn, meanwhile, sat on the edge of the bed, fingers tracing the quilt like it was treasure. She'd never slept in a room so warm, never been invited into a home where the walls didn't echo with shouting, or silence so sharp it hurt to breathe. She reached into her suitcase and pulled out a small wooden box, the only possession she guarded, like her life depended on it. Inside the box were tiny envelopes with hand-sketched symbols on each: a pine tree, a horseshoe, a sunrise, a star. She touched the envelope marked with a single, delicate feather. It was her secret, the gift that had pushed her toward this journey, a gift she wasn't ready to share yet. The next morning, she woke early and found Liam in the barn, struggling to fix a broken gate hinge. Without asking, she knelt beside him and held the gate steady. He looked at her, surprised. "You don't have to do this," he said. "I want to," she replied simply. She moved with quiet skill, more capability than she'd admitted. By midday, she had helped him feed the horses, thaw the water troughs, mend the chicken wire fence, and clear the heavy snow off the barn roof. Liam found himself watching her not with judgment, but curiosity. She didn't complain, didn't hesitate, didn't flinch at work most people weren't used to, and every time she smiled, the ranch seemed a little less heavy. But the storm worsened. Strange things began happening: animals growing restless, equipment failing unexpectedly, the electricity flickering during the coldest hours. Liam cursed under his breath. The ranch is falling apart. Evelyn laid a gentle hand on his arm. Maybe it just needs something different, a different kind of care. He didn't know what she meant, but the softness in her voice soothed him in a way he wasn't ready to acknowledge. That evening, she slipped outside with the wooden box while Liam chopped firewood. She walked to the oldest oak tree on the property, a tree his father had mentioned in the letters, telling her it was sacred to the land. She knelt in the snow and opened the envelope with the feather. Inside was a delicate folded paper charm shaped like a wing. Evelyn held it close to her chest and whispered words the wind carried away before anyone could hear. To anyone else, it might have looked like a simple prayer, but Evelyn knew better. She felt the air shift, soft and grateful, as though the land itself sighed in relief. The wind calmed. The horses quieted. The flickering lights inside the ranch steadied. Inside the house, Liam looked out the window and saw her standing by the oak tree, snow falling around her like tiny crystals of light. Something about the scene struck him deeply, sending a strange warmth through his chest. He didn't know what she was doing. He didn't know who she truly was, but he knew without understanding why that she belonged here. And maybe, just maybe, she was the gift the ranch needed. A gift his heart wasn't ready for. But one it desperately